Hey guys, Holly Agnew here. So have you ever noticed that how you talk to yourself after eating can completely change what happens next? Think about that. Maybe you say, I blew it, I have no willpower, and suddenly the rest of the day feels like it's a free-for-all. Or maybe you tell yourself, that wasn't my best choice, but I can get back on track. And you move on without getting out of control. Think about those two choices. That difference, think about that. It's not about the food, it's about your self-talk. And today, I'm going to show you how that inner voice can either keep you stuck in the diet cycle or help you finally feel at peace with food. So here's what we'll cover. We're going to talk about why self-talk has such powerful effect on eating habits, the difference between critical self-talk and compassionate self-talk, and 3 practical ways to shift the voice in your head so that food feels easier and lighter. Hey, Lisa. So why does self-talk matter? Well, your brain listens to your words. Research shows that your brain can't always tell the difference between thoughts and reality. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm out of control, I have no control over this, think like I have no control around eating carbs, your brain accepts that as truth, and your behavior often follows. Words create patterns. When you say, I was bad for eating that cookie, shame kicks in, and shame often drives more overeating because food becomes comfort. For example, somebody eats pizza at lunch and her inner critic says, you just ruined your diet. You'll never change. What happens if she thinks, so what happens, she thinks, why bother? And keeps eating all evening. Contrast that with, I really enjoy that pizza. Now, what does my body need next? She makes a lighter choice without the guilt. So can you think of a phrase you often say to yourself around food that's good or bad? Drop it in the comments, because I know I used to have lots of them. So critical self-talk sounds like, I have no discipline. I'm so weak. I'll never get this figured out. Anybody else been in that boat? So what this causes is guilt, shame, hopelessness, and overeating to self-soothe. Compassionate self-talk sounds like, that didn't go as planned, but I can choose differently at my next meal. One meal doesn't erase all healthy choices that I've made. I'm learning, and progress takes practice. What it causes is flexibility, resilience, and more balanced eating. For example, I was working with a client who used to tell herself, I have no control around chocolate. Anytime she ate a piece, she ended up finishing the whole bar. Once we worked on her self-talk, she shifted to, I can enjoy chocolate and still care for my body. That simple reframe helped her to stop at a few squares instead of spiraling. So think about this. If you had a best friend who struggled with food, what's one kind thing you'd say to her? And imagine saying that to yourself. Because think if you were talking to your friend, would you talk to your friend the way you talk to yourself? Most of the time the answer is no. So 3 ways to shift self-talk. The first one is to notice the voice. So you have to write down what you often say to yourself about food and your body. And then awareness is key, so you can't change what you don't notice. Then ask the friend question. When you catch yourself with a harsh thought, ask, would I say this to a friend? If the answer is no, that phrase doesn't belong in your self-talk. And then you need to create replacements. Take a common negative phrase and replace it with something supportive. For example, I have no willpower. Change it to, I'm learning new skills and building trust with my body. Or, I blew it. You can change that to, one meal doesn't define my day. Or, I'll never change. Change that to I'm practicing and every step counts. So what's one phrase you'd love to swap out for something new? Comment with your before and after. So here's what I hope you take away. The way you talk to yourself shapes your eating habits more than your willpower ever could. Critical self-talk creates guilt and overeating. Compassionate self-talk builds confidence and consistency. And when you practice awareness, ask the friend question and replace old phrases, you start building a whole new relationship with food. So if you're ready to shift that inner voice and finally feel at peace with food, drop the word kindness in the comments or message me, and I'll send you a free worksheet with prompts to help you practice supportive self-talk. And imagine if the next time you had a cookie, instead of spiraling, you felt calm, confident, and back in control. It all starts with the words you say to yourself. Have a good day.